Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to the northeast of England and we're going to go to Morpeth for only my second visit to Anarchy Brew Co. I've not done a review from these guys in quite a wee while. In fact, the last review I did from them was when their beers were still in bottles. But today we're going to have a look at the Quiet Riot, which is 6.6% ABV and it's described as a South Pacific IPA. If you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I love the Aussie and Kiwi hops. The New Zealand IPAs are some of my favourite beers that I've reviewed for you on the channel over the years, so I'm hoping that this one is a really kind of good representation of that sort of Kiwi Aussie IPA style, and I know this is a good brewery, so I am quite excited about this one, so hopefully you guys enjoy my take on the beer as well. This was one that I actually picked up at Glug in Newcastle, really nice sort of artisanal food and beer store there. It's on Granger Street now. They've got a brand new store which looks really nice. They were previously based in the Granger market, so if you're watching in the northeast of England or from the Newcastle area, make sure you go and check out Glug and you will find these Anarchy beers. I did pick up another two, so you'll see more reviews over the next little while. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Anarchy before. Like I said, there'll be more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, prefecture, county, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Anarchy Brewing Company then. So Anarchy Brewing Company were founded back in January 2012 by Simon and Don Miles, and they're based just outside of Morpeth, which is a little bit to the north of Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. So originally the brewery was called Brew Star, which was taken from the old tradition of putting a six-pointed brewer star on the end of the barrels, and each of the points of the star represented one of the different ingredients of beer. So this was water, hops, grain, malt, yeast, and of course the brewer as well. And a famous example of this is the famous Newquay Brown, of course, and that's a beer I really do need to review for you while I'm here in Durham. But the company has changed their name. They changed their name after only 8 months because of a proposed legal challenge from Brewster's Brewery down in Lincolnshire. So they changed it to Anarchy Brew Company to kind of basically to represent or to kind of symbolise the experimental ideology that they said they wanted to have going forward. But the brewery are based in Whitehouse Farm, just outside of Morpeth, and today their beers are available quite widely throughout the northeast of England, and I think they've actually been a bit further afield than that. From what I understand, over the last couple of years they've really strengthened their market in the south of England, and I think we can get these in some of the better beer shops up in Scotland as well. I did read an article that was saying they were exporting over to Sweden, although I haven't seen them in Systembolaget when I've lived over there, and maybe they'll be over there by the time I go back, of course. But it must be some of the beer bars and things like that over there that are taking them in. But it is good to see that they are expanding throughout Europe. But in 2014 they expanded the floor space by about 1,000 feet on their brewery, and in 2017 they secured a loan which will be used to further invest in expanding the capacity of the brewery. So exciting times for these guys ahead. They've produced some really nice beers, they get really good ratings, and my previous experiences with them have been pretty good as well. I've only reviewed one beer for you which I believe was called Smoke Bomb, and that was really quite interesting, but I have tried a couple other ones on the tap as well locally, so that's been good, and I have enjoyed the beers. They've got quite an extensive range as well, so like I said, check out the brewery website in the description below and you can learn more about the brewery and the different beers that they do. But anyway, that's enough of it from me just now. Let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So like I said to you, this one is a 6.6% IPA. It says on the back here, oh no, it actually doesn't, it just says the fire and the fury. This must be a new thing. They must have redesigned this label recently about the kind of Trump thing as well. It's got little bits about George Bush and stuff. It says on the side here, pardon me, bitter and fruity. Our South Pacific IPA is overflowing with kiwi fruits, lime and orange zest. Sweet malts are balanced against a big bitter bite. Medium body, oily in texture and delicious in flavour. So yeah, it should be quite nice. And of course all of these Anarchy Brewing beers do have this kind of newspaper style of artwork, this sort of, I don't know if you can call that dystopian. Peter over at the Clueless Drinker is probably better about telling you about art styles than I am. He's a lot more artistically literate than I. So yeah, but without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. Make sure you do check out Peter's channel, of course. I really enjoy his videos. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on to the tasting then. And I tell you something, you can smell those oranges that they were talking about. It's got a sort of tangerine orange coming out of it as you open up the can. So we'll probably just need to let this beer settle a little bit. That head is actually pretty big. So yeah, we'll leave a little bit in the can just now and stick the rest in a minute. But yeah, as you can see, it's poured a really nice kind of dark orangey amber, really quite a dark orange, this one. If I hold it up to the light, it does get a little bit lighter around the edges, which is what you expect, but really I think it's a kind of blood orange colour. You can see there's a solid 2 and a bit finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head on this one. It's not perfectly white, more of a cream colour that's coming out of this. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head. There are 1 or 2 wee tiny little bits of sediment floating around in the bottle of this one, and as you can see, if I put my fingers behind the beer, it is quite opaque. It's not really transparent at all, but yeah, it looks really nice, and you can get some of these lovely fruity aromas coming off this beer as well. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice, I have to say that. So yeah, you can smell a little bit of the bready character in there. There's a wee bit of a kind of caramel and biscuity note coming from the malt as well. You can smell some of that sort of grassy, it's more of a grassy note that comes off this one as the kind of base aroma of the hops, if you like. But definitely, you know, they're saying on the can it's oranges. I'd say it's more tangerines. It's a little bit kind of, yeah, it's more of a sort of lighter, juicy kind of tangerine. It reminds me of the Mosaic a little bit. I'm trying to remember what hop in Australia is that gives you the oranges, because I know you can definitely pick up a little bit from this one in terms of passion fruit. I think there's a little bit of passion fruit coming out of this one. And there's a wee bit, I can pick up some of that limey character that they're mentioning as well. But I think it's really the oranges for me. It's got this tangerine orange quality that's coming out quite well. I'd say that's the main kind of staple of the fruity side of the beer. Tangerine oranges, definitely. But it smells really nice. When the aroma kind of opens up a little bit, when you sugar it up a little bit more, you can smell a little bit more of a kind of floral, sort of spicy kind of thing. When you let it settle, it does become more fruity and orangey. There's limes in there. I think there's a wee bit of passion fruit underneath the tangerines, but the tangerines are the ones that are really coming to the fore. And definitely, I can see what they're saying about lime coming out of this beer. Definitely. So oranges are a little. They're saying oranges. I reckon it's a little bit more of a kind of tangerine type thing. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of your beers, because that's half the experience when it comes to whiskey, sake, craft beer, and all these sorts of things. So do just take a little bit of time and enjoy that for yourself. It smells really, really nice. And I love these. You can really smell. The one thing you'll always notice with New Zealand hops is that kind of juice, that sort of juicy quality, and you can pick that up with the oranges in this one. It's probably, to be honest, with the tangerine oranges, it'll be one of the New Zealand hops rather than the Australian ones. I do wonder if there's a little bit of Galaxy in there though, because of the sort of passion fruity notes I'm getting. Maybe there's a wee bit of pineapple coming out of there as well, and that's what really makes me wonder if there is Galaxy in there. But Australia's going to be a really good country for hops in the next couple of years. They're already quite well established, but if you think about the crazy amount of land and things that they have there, I can see Australia becoming a very good hop country, and I would love to see Argentina, for example, kind of follow suit as well there. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get stuck into this one then. So this one's the Quiet Riot 6.6% South Pacific IPA from Anarchy Brew Company in Morpeth. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte. Yeah, I really like that. It just goes together really well. I like beers. I mean, you've heard me say this on the channel a number of times. Quite often when breweries do IPAs and things, they can just absolutely blast the hell out of them with hops and just go for a really, really bitter IPA. And I think, to be honest, going for that more balanced approach where you've got a nice malty backbone, some breweries are losing that a little bit, but I think they've done a nice job with this one. It's quite interesting because it's almost like it's got a nice kind of sweet bready character to it. You can feel that go right across the middle of your tongue. There's definitely some caramel in there, but there's a wee bit of a biscuity sweetness as well. Right in the middle of your palate is where you're getting the sweeter caramel, and some of the biscuity note is just kind of sitting on top of that. I do like the sweetness that this one has in the malt base, and it's just got that nice feel to it. It's been a long time, as I say, since I've reviewed the kind of Kiwi and Aussie IPAs, but I do like the idea that this beer has of just having that nice kind of sweet backbone to it. it just hits the spot for me. As I always say, beer is subjective, but this beer is hitting the spot for me. If you've watched the channel before, you'll also know that I love beers that have orangey flavours. Orangey IPAs are a style that are really up my street. So this one, in terms of what I like, is really hitting the spot. So, you know, it's going to get a thumbs up. I'll say that right away. Big thumbs up to Anarchy Brew Company on this beer. Yeah. If you like orange IPAs, have a go at this one. I would say probably some of the American West Coast IPAs are a little bit more caramelly than this one. This one does have a little bit of bready character. I would wonder if it has a bit of English malt in it as well, just because of the way some of the bready characters are coming out. But it's got a lovely kind of smooth. The bready character that you get with this one is almost sweet, and it's almost got a little bit of a kind of oaty character to it as well, which is quite interesting. You can just pick up a little bit of that oaty smoothness in the beer. So have a go at this one, seriously. Yeah. So on the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of the palate there's a tiny little bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward there's maybe a little bit of herbal quality. Then along the sides of this palate, that's when you start to get some of this nice floral aromatic character that you expect to these Kiwi and Aussie hops. Round the very front curve of the tongue it does get a little bit lighter and juicier. Then just behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get this little oily bubble that I always talk about with these IPAs. The fruity esters coming out there quite nicely. So in this one, like I was saying, it's definitely, for me, it's tangerine oranges that are coming out of this beer, although in the flavour it does, in the aroma it's a little bit more like tangerine, but in the flavour it does lean a little bit more towards the kind of oily side of the orange, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I do think there's a little bit of a passion fruit base to that. If you pay attention to the fruity side of things, I think the passion fruit's kind of being the linchpin, it's just underpinning it. Then on top of that, you're starting to get a more oily orange, and as the flavour kind of progresses on, that's when you start to get these kind of more tropical fruit complexities. I do wonder if there's a little bit of there's maybe a little bit of a kind of apricot-y character, maybe some sort of pineapple or something like that. But the limey notes are definitely coming out in this one. I'm not so sure about kiwi. Kiwi's a flavour that I'm not too familiar with, so maybe that's some way that I need to develop my palate. As I always say, this whole beer tasting thing is a learning process and you can train yourself to do it. So I need to get a bit more familiar with kiwi flavours and just see. But for me, I'm not picking up too much of something that I would think is kiwi. I think it's more a limey character that's coming out of this beer. As you progress further and further into it, but definitely it's got a bit of that dark kind of tropical root, that slightly darker tropical flavour. Comes out on top of that, there's the more kind of oily orange that I was saying, and then as it mellows out a little bit, as I say, there's a bit of pineapple apricot-y flavour in there, and then you start to get the kind of lime notes as well. Not sure if there's maybe a little bit of kind of a lychee or something in there too, but the whole flavour just goes together really well, and I like the way the juicy oranges kind of mix with that slightly sweeter caramelly bready thing that's going on. You know, they've produced a nice beer here. The thing that does surprise me about this, when I was checking it out on Rate Beer earlier, it had an 80 out of 100 overall, and I think it was a 61 it had in the style. I think on Untappd it was like 3.8 or something like that. To me, for this beer, and again, this is where you have to say beer is subjective, I think those ratings are a little bit low for this one, because you can tell right away it's a good quality IPA this, and maybe that's just the thing, you know, Rate Beer can be a bit funny, because, well, one, it is American dominated of course, but with the slightly breadier IPAs, I really enjoy those, but I always find they tend to be rated a little bit lower for some reason. But they've done a good job with this. Anarchy are a good brewing company, or Anarchy are a good brewery, I should say, rather. So, you know, you're always going to get a good IPA from these guys. You can kind of count on that. So, as I always say, take Rate Beer and Untappd and things like that with a pinch of salt. If you enjoy the beer, that is the main thing. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one then, you know, it was going to sound like I'm kind of copying their tasting notes, but it is. It's mid-bodied. The carbonation on this one, I'd say it does have a little bit of a prickle, but overall it's quite smooth actually. Yeah, quite smooth. It does have a little bit of a prickle, like I say. Oily mouthfeel to this one. It's got a good hoppy bitterness to it. That mellows out a little bit. The malt base, I think, the sweetness in the malt base of this one is really nice, and that sweetness, it actually kind of builds a good bridge between the earthy side of the hops and then the nice bready character that's in there. There is a little kind of touch of a grainy note as well as the flavour progresses. I didn't say that earlier on, but particularly at the back of the palate you do notice a little bit of that kind of grainy flavour, and the beer does almost get a little bit of a kind of piney resinous character as the flavour goes on as well, but there's a good juicy fruity note to this one as well, and it is cool. They've done a nice job with these Aussie and Kiwi hops, I'm guessing, that they put in. It would be interesting to know which ones they've put in it. I do wonder. I think there's a mixture in here of Australian and New Zealand hops, just from the way the flavours are coming out, but they've done a good job with this. If you like the kind of orangey leaning IPAs, I think you are going to enjoy this one. So if you like the likes of Amarillo, Mosaic, you know, Mandarina Bavaria is the other hop that comes to mind as well. If you like these kind of hops, Azaka, gives you some nice tangerine flavours as well, then you are going to enjoy this. I do need to probably spend some time in Australia and New Zealand and get more used to their hops and learn the different things, because I always have to look them up and what flavours you should get when you're talking about that as well. When you're talking about home brewing and things like that. I love it. I need to homebrew a little bit more with my Aussie and Kiwi hops and build my knowledge that way, but this is really nice, so have a go at it if you like orange IPAs. But I'll shut up now. I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Once again, thank you for watching. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. This is a really, really nice beer, and I do recommend that you check it out. If you get a chance to try anything from this brewery, I do think you are going to enjoy it. They're one of the best breweries you're going to find in the northeast of England at the moment, I think. So yeah, thank you for watching. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Do check out my social media and stuff, and you will see more reviews from Anarchy Brewing Company over the next little while. The Quiet Riot, a 6.6% South Pacific Pale Ale from Anarchy Brew Company in Morpeth in the northeast of England. Slanted just now.